Hello, this is Donnie Smith, and in this video I'm going to be talking about taking an ASE style test. Collision repair students are getting ready to take an end of program test, and I thought perhaps others out there that's getting ready for an ASE style test, whether it's in a program or maybe your ASE certification. Some of these same tips that I'm going to talk about will apply for these style tests. So I'm going to give you a few tips on that. Now, to get to the area that I'm going to be talking about, you need to go to collisionblast.com. And right now it's just one of the first posts because I just posted it. But at a later time, if you want to get to this information and you can't find it, you probably just type in the search bar here. You can probably type ASE collision repair test, and that'll probably bring this up. But anyway, we're going to talk about it a little bit in the test that we're taking. It's through the National Automotive Student Skills Standard Assessment, and it's a form of ASE. ASE has partnered with Skills USA and ASE and NATEF and AES to develop this test, and that it's for students that are going to be completing a program to kind of determine what their skill level is. So we're going to talk about that. We're not so much going to talk about the task list or what you need to know, but more about the test and how you can take it and some tips to pass the test. The first thing you'll want to do is as a student, you're going to have to fill out your profile. And to do that, you go to this NAS or NA3SA website right here, and it's going to ask for your login. You see right here it says student login. You click that. And as a first-time student, you need to fill in this information. It's going to ask for your first name. Obviously, you put your first name in, and then you put your last name in, and then it's going to ask for your roster key. Now, where you're going to get your roster key is from your instructor. He's going to have already put this in there, and he will issue this key. You then put your roster key in, and then you can go in there and finish completing your profile. Pretty simple process, takes just a few minutes. And then once you're in, you can use the username and password that you set. So we're going to go back. So once you're logged in, you can take the test. It has to be administrated at the school, and it'll be someone that's a proctor that's not your instructor will actually facilitate the test. But just a few tips over taking these tests. There's basically three types of questions, and once you understand these questions, I think it's going to make a lot more sense. It'll make it easier to answer. Now, the first type of question is probably the easiest question to answer. It's basically they answer a question, and you select the right answer. For example, they ask how do you what's the proper overlap spray pattern for solvent paint, and they have A, B, C, and D. All of these questions are four possible answers, A, B, C, and D, and then you just select the best answer. So if one's 20% and one's 50%, of course you would choose whichever letter went with the 50%. The next question they have is the accept. Now these are a little bit harder because you kind of have to think backwards just a little bit. Now with the first one, I didn't mention the tip to answering these questions. It's just by process of elimination. I mean, first, what absolutely doesn't make sense, and you can kind of eliminate the ones one by one that is not correct until it leaves the one that is correct. Next is the accept questions, and you kind of do that the same way, except you look for answers that are correct, and the one question that's left is incorrect. Very important to look for is accept. If it's the accept questions, that you are looking for what does not fit. Those are two questions are really pretty basic. Just don't miss, where it says accept. But the one that most students find confusing and have a lot of trouble with is these Technician A, Technician B questions. And these are the type of question where it may say a statement, it may talk about something, and then it'll say Technician A says this, and Technician B says that. Now, one thing to understand, it's not Technician A versus Technician B necessarily. They may just be making individual statements. So you need to determine, which statements are correct and which are not. Now, these are really easy if you answer them, if you just think of it like this. Forget all about the technician A, the technician B, and just make this all true or false. For example, you read the statement and then technician A says this. Is that true or false? And then, if you need to, write it down or whatever. And then go to technician B, true or false. And then you can make the right decision. If A was true and B was true, then both technicians are going to be right. If only A was right, then only technician A is going to be right. So if you'll just change those to true and false, I guarantee you'll take a lot of the confusion out and make this a really simple process. Because really, true or false are probably easier than any of the other type of questions if you'll just use that technique. What kind of questions will be on this? Well, we don't know exactly what exact questions will be on there, but we do have a good idea exactly what kind of questions, and we've got a task list we can look at in just a minute that will be on the test. On each test, for example, for refinish painting, non-structural, structural, mechanical, electrical, those are the 4 areas in collision repair. Each one of those areas have 40 questions each. Now, in order to successfully pass this exam, you need to get at least 22 of those questions right. That's roughly 67%. So you need to get 22 out of 40 correct on each test in order to pass this exam. Now, to kind of learn about the tasks, if you need to know exactly what you should know, we're not going to get a lot into that, but if you do need to know what you should know, there's a link here. It's a PDF file, and it actually formats a lot better. I copied it down here also, but it's actually formatted a lot better there. If you'll click that link, it'll look a lot nicer and cleaner. But I did go ahead and list it on if you just kind of wanted to scan through this. Like I said, I'm not going to go all the way through this, but you can go through all the different areas. For example, let's go to non-structural. It talks about the different things: inspect, remove, store, replace exterior moldings. Do you think that you are competent in that area? Do you have the knowledge in that area? Inspect, remove, store, and you kind of go through these and see where you're weak at, and maybe perhaps study in those areas. Soap and water, entire vehicle. Well, you know that, so there's no need in really worrying about that area if you're already comfortable with that area. So this kind of helps show your weak areas, and you can work with those weak areas. But you can go through each one of those, the task list, and what's expected. And it also tells you how many questions. For example, let's go to, let's see, questions in test, preparation, and in this paint refinish. There's 8 questions in preparation. There's 9 questions in outer body panel repair, replacement, and adjustments. 8 questions in metal finishing and body filler. 3 questions in movable glass and hardware. 8 questions in metal welding and cutting. 4 questions in plastics and adhesives. And this is a total for your 40 questions. And of course you got to get 22 of those questions correct to pass the exam. And that's kind of how every one of these exams. Now, this is not the ASE certification test. It's a little bit different. It has more questions than that, if you're certifying for the first time. But this is the end of program test that I'm talking about here. So let's go ahead and scroll the bottom. I'll kind of let you can look at that and determine what you need to study more in those areas. Just a few more tips down here that I want to go over before we complete this. Let's see, I went down too far. Okay, yeah, right here. And this is just I want to something that'll throw flags up in your head, make a mental red flag if something's not right or doesn't sound right. And here's a few words to look for. Now, this is not absolutes. There is no absolutes in this business, but here's a few words that will help you think, or at least raise a flag for you to consider. The words never and always. In this industry, it's really hard to say something never happens or something always happens. I mean, as you and I know, that's a pretty tough statement to claim. But And I put an example here like weld through primer. Is it always recommended to use it? Well, you may think, yeah, it is recommended to use, but there is one manufacturer out there that says they don't recommend it. So, of course, that would be false. So if you see always and never, read those questions really good. Now, the chances are because that question is going to be false. But like I said, that they may ask some question like, what I put here, should you always properly clean a car or a part before repairing? And obviously that is a yes, so that wouldn't apply to this case. But just a red flag, if it says that, chances are it may be false. And now there's other words kind of on the flip of that is may and sometimes. Now it's hard to say that something may not ever happen or sometimes happens. I mean, those are big words. So if you see may or sometimes, a little flag goes up, that's chances are that could be true. And like I've mentioned, not every time, it's not absolute, but a little red flag should tell you to read that carefully. And that if you absolutely don't know, I would probably answer that true. And that's the last thing I'm going to talk about is whether you're doing process of elimination or you're answering true false or you're looking at these different things and you just absolutely do not know the answers. Well, you've got 4 chances to answer it right. Make the best choice you can. You absolutely don't want to leave nothing blank, because if you just make just a wild guess, you at least have a fourth of a chance, a quarter of a chance of getting it right. Now that's not really. I hope you want to pass this test with the knowledge. That's the intent of it. And really, these tests to me are nothing more than just evaluating what you know. What really matters when you get out there in the industry and you can really be able to do what you say you can do. That's what's really important. But these tests are indicators that tell us that you do have a basic understanding. So now if you want some more information, I did put a link right here to the ASE question study guide, and there's a few questions there that kind of give you an idea. Now this is more of the ASE test, the for your ASE certification, not end of year program testing. But if you want a kind of a taste of what some of these questions look like, I invite you to check this link out on ASE, and there you can kind of go through some of the collision repair questions that you will kind of familiarize with the different types of questions, and that way you can kind of have a good idea. But other than that, that pretty well wraps it up. Just a few quick tips to help you pass the exam. I hope you do well, and good luck.